It's coming closer and closer. Our 10-year anniversary, June 21st, at the Meadowlark Park Community Association. Our first time there. It's right behind Chinook. Please let us know and join us. And if you'd like to order a T-shirt, we have some celebratory T-shirts of 10 year. Please reach out to me, Victor, Carol, Ju, so we can, or I think on our WhatsApp group, there is a link so you can order there. And yeah, looking forward to see everyone there to celebrate this milestone. All right. So today, as we're going to talk about cooperation, our text will be, our initial text will be about cooperation. And the passage that Emmanuel will talk about is from the Acts that says, he replied, "How can I understand unless someone teaches me?" Ever since Jesus came, the renewing movement of education for the good has been one of the most impressive. Places of worship have been built everywhere, and books containing sacred principles have been disseminated. In all this activity, we can see the subtle and magnanimous working of the Master, who is not wasting the opportunity to attract God's children to his infinite love. Aimed this blessed endeavor, however, the fraternal cooperation that Christ left us stands out as an essential norm for the ongoing illumination of the world. Nobody should ever expect to evolve without being helped by others. Although this does not mean that a person should seek to behave like a parasite. We are referring here to the solidarity, profitable support, edifying assistance. Those who learn something always make use of the lessons left by those who preceded them, and they can go no further if their contemporaries fail to show them at least a minimum of interest. The apostles needed Christ, who in turn made it a point to connect the teachings of which he was the divine emissary to the old laws. To understand his own situation, Paul of Tarsus needed Ananias. Let us observe the above verse taken from Acts. Philip was working unconcerned at the moment when an angel of the Lord appeared to him, asking him to go to the road that led from Jerusalem to Gaza. The disciple acquiesced, and so came upon a man who was reading the law without understanding it. Both began a sanctifying effort of cooperation. Nobody is ever forsaken. The messengers of Christ always help out, even on the remotest roads. Still, the soul must accept its condition of need and not waste the chance to learn with humility, for we should not forget that. In this evangelical text, the one beginning for understanding was the chief steward of the Queen of Ethiopia, the guardian of all her treasures. Moreover, he was traveling by chariot, whereas Philip was on foot. So let us pray. Let's raise and connect our thoughts to God, to Jesus our Master, to our guardian angels, and to the all spiritual team that guide us and help us in the activities of this Sunday morning, and also in all the activities of this second home of love, which is FSS. And be grateful. Be grateful for this opportunity. Be grateful for all the help and the cooperation of God, of Jesus, and all spirits that are here with us every single moment of our lives, helping us to navigate this journey of betterment, this journey of moral evolution. Let us be always connected to the divine will, to the divine love, to the divine wisdom, so we can take it in, all the knowledge, the intuition, and everything that is provided us as a blessing from God so we can continue with faith, with confidence and trust that we are capable and we are able to complete this journey in the best successful way possible. Let us pray that we have one more morning full of love, reflection, wisdom, and help. And may every one of us live here feeling hopefully a little bit better than we enter. So be it. Okay. So I forgot to pass. So the text that we're going to use today. So, I forgot to do that. So we are continuing today with this book, Pensamento e Vida, or Thought and Life. So this is we're going to study chapter 3 today, which talks about cooperation. We started with our thought and our mind and the importance of our thought. And our mind is the mirror of our life. Everything that our mind is mirroring, or what we mirror and what we choose to mirror inside of ourselves, that's what kind of dictates how we progress in this journey. And then we studied last time how important, if the thought has such an importance aspect in our moral evolution, how can we control, or how can we educate ourselves so we can mirror the best thoughts, the best emotions, and the best sentiments as possible. And the driver, or what we call the chief, the CEO of our minds, are our will, or our willpower. And how our will is the most important aspect and one of the strength that us as an immortal spirit have to educate ourselves and to navigate and direct ourselves to the best outcome and to the best journey possible. So today we're going to talk a lot about will again, but we're going to talk about this importance of cooperation. And as we read on this harmonization text, we're not alone, and we'll never be alone. We will do all the efforts that are possible to us, it's in our accountability to do. But when there's something that is beyond what we are possible to do, we always have help. We will always have help from God, from Jesus, and from our guardian angels. Not only our guardian angels, but also the spiritual team that are part of our family, that are part of our inner circle in our house. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this role of cooperation, and I will bring some of the visuals that really help me to understand how our mind is organized, like a company, like a business, with several departments, and the chief or the manager of those departments must be our will. And we're going to play around on some of new, let's say, advisors or consulting that we can ask for help, and how this cooperation is a big component of that. And a text or a sentence from this book or from this chapter that really kind of touched my heart is the universe can be defined as a chain of lives interwoven within the great life. So we're going to explore a little bit more about this sentence. So again, this book that I showed you, that we have unfortunately we don't have in English here, and we need to order more in Portuguese because I think we're out of. But we need to order in English as well. Okay, so let's start with the first sentence here. For someone to successfully and efficiently manage an important enterprise, a mere appointment to the position is not enough. So right to the beginning here, Emmanuel starts talking here that in order for us to be successful, Not in the sense of success, of, oh my God, the job that I have, the position that I have, or the money that I have, what have you. But to be successful, and in Portuguese, Emmanuel use êxito. So for us to accomplish what we need to accomplish in terms of moral evolution, we need to be efficient. We need to be efficient and use the best resources that we have at our disposal, so we don't kind of keep doing or keep coming, repeating kind of the same mistakes over and over again. So there is a right path. There is a straight path that we are invited to follow, but sometimes we decided to take a little bit of a detours of that. So for us to be mindful, but what is the right path? What is the right path? What tells us if we are in the right path or not when we're in this life here or any other life?
Our conscience.
Our conscience that are guided by
We also see the signs.
the signs. The signs of what?
The divine laws.
The divine laws, right? It's
Thank you.
if we do, it's simple. It's
Cooperate.
just follow the divine laws. If that was that simple. So when I was kind of studying for this, Arthur, who you might know that I really appreciate all his reflections, brought this passage from John the Baptism saying, "Prepare the way for the Lord, make straight paths for him." Let us keep going straight. Let us be conscious that in our evolution there is a right path. Of course, every one of us will navigate that right path, which is following the divine laws according to our own strengths. But we have to be mindful that there will be situations that will take some curves. And if we take those curves, let's remind again about that right path, right? And for us not to come here or to a life over and over again and only relying on pain and suffering as our educational mechanism so we can progress. So there is this important aspect that we use this life, this incarnation, efficiently, right? Use all the resources, being this book, all of those books, and everything that life and God provide us to make the best use of our resources and keep on that straight path. And we know from question 115, when the spirits ask, are some spirits created good or bad? And then the spirit says, no, they're all ignorant. And some of them will decide, we can kind of translate, some of them will decide to take the straight path and get to the evolution a bit faster. So those are using the resources more efficiently. Some of those will choose to murmur and kind of taking some curves, taking some detours, and some of those will get to that evolution, will get to that end state, but will take a bit longer. So here there is this call for us, similar or analogy of a business, whatever business we run in this world, have an objective, want to do something, and we are always looking those business how to be efficient, because resources in the business world are limited as well. We don't have all the resources that we wish for. How can we best use those resources to achieve our desired objective? And if we use the same analogy in our life, not that we need to acquire everything and build only wealth in an empire, but how are we using the resources to become a better immortal spirit? And he continues, a set of superior qualities is required for the endeavor to be consolidated and to prosper. Not just authority, but leadership with discernment. Not only theory and culture, but also virtue and clear judgment. So here, if you remember, the will is our CEO, is the big director, the big manager of the office of every single one of us here. But it's a first step to know, okay, I need to practice my will. But it doesn't stop there. We need to apply. What does that mean? How is my will? Is my will strong enough to make sure that the departments of our intelligence, the department of our desire, are they really working towards a good objective? So we need kind of to walk the walk, right? It's not only read the things, but if we don't apply. Of course, there will be several situations that we know, oh yeah, I need to forgive, or I need to be patient. Sometimes we can't. Sometimes, yeah, I just exploded and lost my temper with someone else. Or I'm not able to forgive for whatever reason. But knowing and making the efforts and trying, that's kind of the call or the invitation. The spirit, how do we know a good spiritist? Is by the efforts that they make to dominate our bad inclinations. Not saying that we're going to solve and be a pure spirit tomorrow or by the end of this incarnation, but it's kind of applying. Not only, yeah, I go to the Spirit, to FSS or any other religion on Sunday or Monday, and by that hour, I'm a good immortal spirit. After that, I forget everything that I say, or that I read, or the knowledge that I acquire. So it's important that we bring all of that knowledge into every single situation of our own lives. And when we're talking about the list of superior qualities, I always remember of the parable of the talents, right? Every single of us, if you don't remember, the parable of the talents is when we have 3 servants. In one servant, the master gave 5 talents. The other servant gave 2 talents, and the other servant 1 talent. And then they say, hey, go and use those talents. The 5 came back, said, hey, the 5 that I had, I multiplied to 10. The 2, hey, the 2 talents that I had, I multiplied to 4. And then the one that got only 1 talent was too scared, too afraid, and he buried. And it's like, no, I was too scared of this 1 talent you gave me. I'm gonna bury it, and here go again. And then the master said, for the 2 that multiplied, say, good, you did a good job. And the one that buried said, that's not what I was expecting. You have to do all over again, and you have to learn how to multiply that. So we need to have that. Every single one of us have those talents. And those talents mean skills. Those talents mean qualities that every single one of us as immortal spirits have, and we can use those talents for our own development. So we need to kind of multiply those, be efficient in multiplying those resources for our own moral betterment, for our moral evolution. And we're invited to constant improve our own selves, right? So when he mentions here theory and culture, this is just know about it. But when he says, but also virtue and clear judgment, this is the translate to ourselves a new way of living, a new way of doing. And similar to the office, we have the cooperation of our own strengths. Maybe I have several skills, and those skills, they cooperate. They build on each other. So we can do, or we can be the better or the best version of our own selves, and do and make the changes that each one of us are here to make the changes. And again, I always like to say, it's not a competition. It's not a me looking at John saying, oh, look at how John used his talents in a very cooperative way, very efficient, and he's going to get there first than me. No, everyone has our own pace. But as long as we use it, as long as we make the conscious choice to make the best use of their talents. And those talents, they need to know their role, right? They need to know their duties. The same way when we have the Department of Intelligence, the Department of Desire, the Department of Imagination, and the Department of Memory, when Emmanuel was explaining our mental house as an office, they need to know what is their role, what is the role of the intelligence, what is the role of the desire, and who helps coordinate that is the will. So they can work together, so they can cooperate and work together, but also avoid that one takes over. And two departments that we're going to see, like intelligence and desire, those ones, right? Because we have so much intelligence in this world, AI, all the advancement, the intellectual advancement that we have now, but the desire, the Department of Desire of just having power, of just conquering and being selfishness, of getting something out of those intellectual developments just for our own selves, that Department of Desire is not well managed. The will of those folks that are not doing a good job in managing the role that department should have, because we're not using that intelligence to do something good for our own selves and good for the humanity. Continuing. Ample resources in the hands of a directionless mind are treasures in the arms of recklessness. Just as wealth without guidance is a ship adrift. What I just said, right? Mm-hmm. So all the resources that we have at our disposal, if those minds are not being led by a strong will, directing all those resources to do the good, is just recklessness. Right? And wealth, we know that the material things, money, all the things that we acquire as we are here, there's a purpose. The Spiritism doesn't say that we should live without anything. We need to survive, right? Like here at FSS, we need to pay bills. We all need to pay bills. So there's a purpose for that. However, that purpose needs to be balanced. We need to find harmony on what are the efforts that we are putting towards something just to acquire for this immortal existence, or for this existence, and what are we doing for me, Luis, beyond this, for the future of my immortal spirit. Continue. Those who govern must emit forces of justice and kindness. So here now Emmanuel is saying, okay, what is that we are invited to do? So those who govern must emit forces of justice and kindness, labor and discipline to achieve the objectives of the role they have been entrusted with. So again, taking a look at what is guiding us are just like our selfishness, our pride, our ego. Is that what is kind of taking the front and center of my moral evolution? Or what are the virtues that I'm invited to practice so I can really achieve the objective that I am here to achieve? When power is unrestrained, the people suffer from unrest and disorder. And when intelligence lacks the helm of sound character, it spreads misery and cruelty all around. Again, Emmanuel here is being very vocal and very specific of this when we have this power that is not controlled, that is just out of for our ego and to do something that it doesn't help our immortal spirit, that is just disorder. What is happening to our world right now? Are we seeing a lot of that happening when people that are in power of countries, without naming names, are just interest in their own selfishness and their own interests, and not thinking about our society, and not thinking about every single one of us as in this interwoven, those links that are all here together to evolve together as immortal spirits, but also as this planet. We know that the planet is going through this transition, and it's with the evolution of every single one of us that the earth will change to a better place. But here, Emmanuel mentions something about sound character. In Portuguese, he says, o caráter sadio. What is sound character? What is to have sound character? O que é ter caráter sadio? What does it mean?
Character laws. Sorry, follow the divine laws.
Follow the divine laws, yeah. What else?
To have appropriate discernment in terms of
Yeah,
how we apply that intelligence.
yeah. And all of that is finding spiritual balance. And also finding harmony. Right? It's not about one or the other. It's not about, I'm going to give up all the things that I have, material things. I'm going to live in a cave by myself without interacting with anyone. No, it's all about the harmony. It's all about the balance. And only the will, apenas a vontade, only the will is strong enough to sustain the harmony of the spirit. Apenas a vontade é forte o suficiente para manter a harmonia do espírito. So here again, Emmanuel draw this connection of how important is the will for us to develop this sound character, esse caráter sadio, so we can stop spread misery and cruelty within our own circle and in our entire society, right? Arthur mentions that all the war, let's take war that is happening, war, like physical war, like people trying to dominate territories, but also all this moral war that we're facing, like when we attack each other. The bigger war is a result of smaller instances of wars that we're facing and having in our own homes. I found that very interesting. Because it's not that something just, let's have a war. Everything starts cooking. It starts brewing in our own house, in our own home, internal home, and then the house in our own family, when we are not in that harmony. And that war inside of our own selves, and then the immediate circle, our family that lives under the same roof, happens due to the lack of cooperation. Cooperation with our own strengths that Luis has, Attila has in all our own departments, but also the cooperation between my strengths, my wife's strengths, my kids' strengths, my immediate family strengths, and how they're all talking to each other. Because if we don't have that cooperation internally, how on earth we're going to be able to cooperate externally if we are not doing kind of our own work, our own work, right? So everything starts internally and then expand externally. And we can call for some consulting from the higher spirits. Say, hey, guardian angel, mentors, I'm struggling here with my desire, or I'm struggling here with something else. Help me, or guide me on praying, on watching what we are doing, and ask for the higher forces. Because life is, as we saw in the beginning, it's like this chain, right? And for this chain to work, it requires to operate in harmony. Back again, every one of us developing that sound character, right? So that is continuing. That is why we see so many tyrants adorned with mental brilliance and so many geniuses of refined sensitivity, yet sunk in vice. How many artists we have seen in our own existence? Brilliant people with so many strengths and skills, but unfortunately doing some good music, what have you. But unfortunately being taken by vices, right? Or like drugs or suicide, because what is happening? And I think when I look at our mental health and the two departments again of desire and intelligence, they need some good rings. Otherwise, they will go and do a lot of damage. And again, those departments and our passions, they are here because they give us the power. They give us the impetus to do the work. They are not bad. The challenge is when they're not managed, when they're left on themselves to do whatever they want. That is the challenge that we are invited to be aware and make changes. And it's okay. Sometimes our departments are a little bit messed and the wheel leaves on vacation without anyone to be acting for the wheel, and the desire takes over or the intelligence takes over. Okay, so, but when we notice that, let's call and say, Will, please come back. We cannot continue our business without you here. And recalibrate again, and change again. We're not here knowing everything. We'll go through this trial and the expiations, so we learn. The importance is to be aware when something is not working, so we can make adjustments. Like on a plant or like in business. We set up a new process, didn't work very well, let's make adjustments so we can continue on the path, on the right path. And we don't let that process go all over the place, creating more damage than benefits. In the inner world, the will, again, is the captain that cannot slack in the duty entrusted to it. And just as an administrator of a service requires the assistance of capable advisors. Oh, look at the advisors of the will. Willpower cannot do without reason and logic. Respectable counselors in the leadership of decisions. So before I talk about the two advisors, I want to talk about something. So this is kind of how Emmanuel, So this is how Emmanuel kind of described the organization of our mind, like a business, right? We have the cabinet of the will and the departments underneath. What Arthur makes a reflection, does everybody know about this question 919 from the Spirit's book? No? Question 919 is when the Spirits ask, here. What is the most effective means for improving ourselves in this life and for resisting the draw of evil? It's what Santo Agostinho says, know thyself. Conhece a ti mesmo, não é conhece ti, a ti mesmo. Conhece a ti mesmo. So here Arthur, taking this question, he says, what we can do, and Santo Agostinho says, yeah, before you sleep, at the end of the day, you lay down, put your head on the pillow, and then you start reflecting. Okay, what have I done? The things that I did, yeah, good, that's didn't work. So one way that Arthur mentions is, as we reflect on this guidance from Santo Agostinho, we can say, okay, before we sleep, we can assess, how did my department of desire work today? It's kind of a performance review of every night of each department. How did the department of desire work for me today? Did he cooperate with the other departments? How did all the other departments work together today? Or what sort of trends am I seeing that every single day my department of desire maybe is taking over something else? Or the department of intelligence is taking over some other departments? So here it's another, let's say, framework, or just a way for us to think about this guidance from Santo Agostinho to know ourselves is, okay, let's review it and see the areas of improvement that I need to do in each of my departments. And then it's like, oh, I found this glitch here, or I found this process that is not working the way it should. I have no idea how to fix it. That is when our mentors, our guides, can intuit or can help us and assist. Yeah, you're having this issue with all your desire or your intelligence. Our mentors, our guardian angels, will help with some guidance in how I can make adjustments and how I can make some changes in the departments and some of the parts that are not working. Again, it's not about doing this today and fixing everything tomorrow. Similar to businesses, a business doesn't exist just for a month or just for a day. It exists in the longer term. Similar to us. We exist to the immortality. Not only for a longer term, but through immortality. And so it's got our will needs always to be alert. It's like that CEO figuring out strategy, figuring out where to take the company every single year and every single month, and assessing that, assessing how it is performing. But we're not alone. There are two things. Again, I'm using this hierarchy model. So the cabinet of the will have two capable advisors, have two capable areas that can ask for help. First is our logic, and here it translated to reason, but I should have changed to it's pondering, right? Before we make decisions, we need to ponderar. We need to think about it. So where am I going? Does that follow the divine laws? Sometimes we ask, is that what Jesus would do? Isso é o que Jesus faria no meu lugar? So those two things, logic and ponder, they are fruits. They are sons or daughters of our reason. And that reason is something that we are lacking nowadays, right? And one of the goals and the objectives that we have in this life is that we purify our reason, is that we make our reason lucid. É a razão lúcida. And what is a pure reason? What does that mean? What do you think? What is an illuminated reason? O que é uma razão lúcida ou uma razão iluminada? What is it? What does that mean? What it is? What are the aspects of a lucid reason? Quais são os aspectos de uma razão iluminada?
One that acts in accordance with the divine law.
Tell me more. What are some of the things that, yeah, this is according to the divine laws?
I guess if you take the first law, the big one, right? The reason that is loving, just, and charitable.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm doing or when I'm reasoning, is that according to that law, is that lovable? Or is that something that am I putting my humbleness and my humility at front? Or no, I'm pushing it down? Because sometimes our reason, and that's what Arthur says, is, I like the word in both Portuguese and English, our reason is contaminated by our pride. Nossa razão está contaminada pelo nosso orgulho e egoísmo. And I thought that was simple as that. Our reason is contaminated. There is something that water that's not supposed to be there. And sometimes our passions, and because it's contaminated, it's, yeah, I'm doing the right thing, or this is a good argument, or it's a good reflection, or I'm going the right way, but actually it's not. Actually, we're really diverging from the divine laws. We're putting our ego and our pride in front again, thinking that we're doing the right thing, but we are not. And sometimes that pride make us blind, and we can't see it. And those two advisors cannot do their work, or those two advisors are biased or contaminated again to do the work that we should be doing. And again, our passions become predominant instead of putting the laws and the virtues in front of it. And again, how do we develop that? It's going back to the caráter sadio, that sound character. Will, searching for love, and searching for the truth. Those are the requirements so we keep that sound character. And we provide the necessary things, or the necessary work, or the necessary reason for the will to make the right decisions. But let me just keep going. I think there's another part here, and then I'll go to the part of making decisions. However, it is urgent that the spirit of cooperation be called upon to sustain its impulses. Again, sustain the impulses of our departments. They got, as harsh as sometimes can be, they gotta be in their place. They gotta be in their place. They're there, they have a role, they have a duty, but they gotta be in their place. There are parts of the engine and the system that makes us going, but we need to be very mindful of making sure that they abide to the cabinet of the will. And those two counselors need to be there always to make sure that they are running into the right direction. And then Arthur mentions that when he says here, respectable counselors in the leadership of decisions. Decisions require time. How do you feel about that? When you're making a decision. Do you make a decision like to, yeah, I'm gonna do it?
You're like
Usually gonna be the worst one.
Why is the worst one?
Because you just don't have enough thoughts about it, so you just pick whatever comes first.
Yeah. What are you gonna say, Matthew?
I think there's just, and this goes back to what you were talking before about how our executive team can become infiltrated. And one of the things I think it can become very infiltrated with is impatience.
Yes.
And so that almost makes it like a reflex for us to just be hasty and make decisions literally just with the most immediate, that sounds good, let's go with it, I gotta do something. And so, as if there's, and this is something I've realized about myself, just how automatically I just get anxious without even realizing it about mindless things that really don't need to be made so quickly, yet I feel like everything has to be, to the millisecond. And so that leads us to a place where we almost ignore the reality of time and act like time is running away from us always.
So Arthur mentioned that decisions require study and reflection. It's not magic. I'm gonna pull here the rabbit from the hat. Yeah, okay. I'm going to go this direction. No, we need to ponder. We need to use logic and we need to reason. And Arthur describes that all our mentors, they give us seeds, right? When we're making a decision, what are those seeds? Our suggestions, inspirations, ideas, study, pray. What we have to do is water those seeds. Does a tree just emerge or happens over time or overnight? No. Our mentors are giving all the seeds for us as the basic principles. Like, Luis, you're facing this challenge in your life. Let me give you some seeds. Let me point you to a few texts. Let me point you to a few directions or experiences that you navigate and you will be better informed in how to make that decision. And when I pray, the mentors will come to me and give you some of the insights that I'm looking for. And when those seeds grow, they become fruits, and those are the decisions. I found that it's a very interesting analogy on all the seeds that we're gathering from every day, from all the decisions that we have to make. And our role is to water them. Take everything that is being given to us and water them. And see how can we take all of that to make those decisions. And pondering, using logic and reason to make those decisions. Another thing that really kind of drove home for me is I couldn't find in what book Emmanuel says that. So I'm trying to find it. Emmanuel says, and that for me, because sometimes I go into that analysis paralysis. I don't make decisions because I don't want to make the wrong decisions. And Emmanuel says, what is important is making a mistake within the context of making it right. É o erro no clima do acerto. I thought that was brilliant. You make a mistake, but it was in the context that you're trying to do something right. I don't know where Emmanuel says that. I'm trying to find it. It's important to see what is the intention. Because another thing that we can go is we don't make any decisions. We stay kind of neutral and we go with the flow. Or we take the world's decision as our decision, right? And when he mentions about, yeah, sometimes we'll make some wrong decisions. But that's okay. Because our intent, we tried to water the seeds. We took everything that was given to us. But in the end, it was not the right one. But we learned. And then we can keep going and searching for the right decision. So I really like this, making a mistake within the context or of making it right, with the intention to make it right. If we can like look at in our conscience and that's what we're trying to do, we are in a good path. We're in the right direction.
Goes to this idea is that it's only failure if you allow it to be.
Exactly.
And otherwise it's, it's just a successful learning, right?
Yeah.
And each successful learning is one step closer to just getting successful success.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And as we make those mistakes, those own mistakes will lead you to the right path. Right? Or at least will give a warning. Like, that's not the right one. Let's see what is not right so we can look for the right one. Continue. In the fabric of earthly activity, those who lead with confidence are aware of the natural hierarchy that governs the coexistence of all values essential to life. So here, so we all have our offices. We're all here, right? So most of us might know that we have the hierarchy of spirits. We're still climbing up the ladder. So we are imperfect spirits. Then there are good spirits and there are pure spirits. But in this world where everything is linked, we can ask, let's imagine that we are here. We can ask for higher spirits to cooperate with us. We can ask for some consulting services. Say, man, I don't know what to do. So it's us being humble and asking, guardian angels, cooperate with me. Help me in this area of maybe marketing, business operations, if you're looking about business. How can I be better? How can I be better and how can I change? This is all about progress. It's the law of society. It's the law of solidarity. It's the law of cooperation. But at the same time, we are in a state of evolution. We can cooperate with other spirits that are not as evolved as we are. So we still have some good things that we can offer. And we do, right? And we do. The same way that we can get help, we can always, and we can also offer help. Arthur mentions, as we evolve, as we look, like Chico Xavier, Bezerra de Menezes, Divaldo Franco, Allan Kardec, all those spirits that incarnated here, they progress to serve. To serve who? Who is in the bottom of kind of that hierarchy. So I found that simple as it is there is this cooperation. That we can cooperate and help those who are not there yet, but also we can ask for some consulting budget from God and ask for help. And we always have that help. It's a matter of every one of us being able to ask and being able to be humble to ask for their help. And they can come and do an assessment in our departments and see how our departments are not organized and provide some recommendations. What to do with our department of imagination, what to do with our department of desire, intelligence, and memory. So we do have that help. At the same time that we can offer that help for those that are not there yet.
And each other, right?
In each other, exactly.
Like here.
Here.
Yeah.
Should I put, that's a good point, should I put one in the same level? And here, exactly, as we can help. I might have developed something, or say, yeah, I think I got this. Like some help, like some exchange, some reflections, we can do that. In the making of a common garment, the thread relies on the machine. The machine waits for the competence of the worker. The worker is shaped by the technician who oversees their work. The technician relies on the factory's management, and the management is balanced by the movement of industry, drawing from its economic fuel necessary to sustain the service unit under its direction. So one of the reasons that I love this book is because it's simple and uses some good analogy that for us, uses the words that we have in our vocabulary. Uses the word in a simple way. And here it describes this system that a business follows, that we the same way follow in this web of life. Thus, we observe that in the individual state, the will, a vontade, in order to fulfill its leadership duties without losing balance, must rely on collaboration so that its activity may be clarified. Spontaneous cooperation is the supreme ingredient of order. So it's important for us to get ourselves in order because sometimes we're a little bit messed up internally. That's normal. It's normal. And that's the invitation for us to make that, to organize ourselves and see the areas that need to be organized. And here we get to the, from the divine glory to the boundaries subatomic, the universe can be defined as a chain of lives interwoven within the great life. So that's the objective of the creation and evolution. Ensure that our lives are better organized and better integrated.
Mm-hmm.
It's the integration of us here, of us in our families, of us in the society, and the world in general to be better organized and better integrated. And I think when I read this, I draw a little bit of, that's one aspect of fraternity. It's the fraternity that we all, the love that exists amongst each other, help us to create this strong chain of lives that are connected to God, which is this great life. And it's like, oh, but we're all lost here in Jesus. Integrated himself to this great life already and serve as a model for us to live this life with this better or sound character and better harmony within ourselves, harmony within the system that we are part in, and harmony with the earth that we are part of. To end, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
Cooperation means constructive obedience to the demands ahead and implicit support to the deprivations behind. Whoever helps is helped, silently finding the safest formula for alignment with the process of evolution. That's it. That's what I have for cooperation.
Thank you.
Any thoughts? We are right on the clock.
Nice.
12.
That's good.
Does that resonate?
Absolutely.
Does that help?
All I was going to add was that when you said, which I think very aptly, about how all of this is feeds into the idea of fraternity. Fraternity in and of itself, the idea at its most basic level, it requires more than just one, more than just us.
Yeah.
I mean, in reality, you know, how can you be fraternal if you can't demonstrate that fraternity to something more than just isolation, right? It requires interaction, it requires engagement, and so it's
How
almost.
can we link to each other if we don't have that? There's no fraternity with one link.
Exactly, it would
Yeah.
just be a single link in
Single link.
isolation, right?
Yeah.
So in order to link, it requires two. It requires at least two, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so that idea of interwovenness, I think it just underscores that, you know, you realize it, and I think so often, at least in my own life, I've thought about the fact, you know, I have to work harder, I have to dig my head into the sand, and I have to struggle through, and this is on me all the time. But the more and more you just learn, you realize that it really was never just about you. It really was always about something that was so much more, as you put it, harmonious, and necessarily requires a resonance that extends much outside myself, and that learns from all around me to reinforce what it is that I'm doing with myself. It's like if we were all by ourselves, if we each had our own planets, like, well, what would be the fun in that? I'll say that, like, where would we get, you know? Like, how would we, I mean, I heard this once, I can't remember, somebody's told me this about the idea of Hitler and what they did with Hitler when he passed off. They sent him to Pluto, and he has to spend like 1,000 years there or something like that. But the reality is that even he wasn't left alone. Gandhi went to go hang out with him, you know? Like, even he, like, it just doesn't work if it's just us. You know, it's meant to be more. Even in the most extreme of examples, it's meant to be more. And I think there's something beautiful with that, you know?
None of us, even like the example of Hitler, we are all sons of God. Sometimes we have that thing like, yeah, but that person's so bad, should be left alone, doesn't deserve anything. No, right? That person, whatever he or she did, is also a son or daughter of God. And we'll get there. It might take longer, but we'll get there. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go to our final prayer. So, with our thoughts connected to God, to Jesus, to all the higher spirits, the guardian angels, and be grateful for this cooperation. Be grateful for the cooperation amongst ourselves, the cooperation with the higher spirits that help us to reflect, to use that knowledge to make us better, to help us, each one of us, in our own way, to continue through this path of finding this sound character, to find this harmony inside of ourselves, so we can start spreading the harmony within the links that we are part of in this society, being our family, being our relatives, or being anyone else that we are connected with. Let's pray that we have another blessing week, a week that we can water the seeds, that we can reflect in the tough decisions that we might have to make, and that we can use our ponder and logic to reflect and to make the best decisions that we can, and be forgive to ourselves if those decisions might not be the right. But if we assess our consciousness, if we made those decisions in the context that we're trying to make it right, we will collect the learnings and continue growing and continue advancing into the betterment of our spirit. Let us have a blessed rest of Sunday and a week full of love, serenity, and peace. So be it.